Hey, Shopify store owners, especially if you're selling on Etsy too. Here's a quick question. Are people actually finding your products on Google? If SEO feels confusing, overwhelming, or like something you'll get to later, this is for you. I'm hosting a free 7-day Shopify SEO challenge that breaks it down into simple, doable steps. No tech headaches, no fluff. Join us at aiseoschool.com. That's school with a K, aiseoschool.com. 7 days, it's free, better traffic. Let's go. Hey, Shopify store owners, especially if you're selling on Etsy too. Here's a quick question. Are people actually finding your products on Google? If SEO feels confusing, overwhelming, or like something you'll get to later, this is for you. I'm hosting a free 7-day Shopify SEO challenge that breaks it down into simple, doable steps. No tech headaches, no fluff. Join us at aiseoschool.com. That's school with a K, aiseoschool.com. 7 days, it's free, better traffic. Let's go.
Everything that you're doing in the content marketing space is about helping your customers and providing the best experience for your customers. So with content diversity and creating all of these multiple content assets, it's helping you to appeal to the needs of your customers and really help them to digest the content in the best possible way for them.
Welcome to the third season of the Simple and Smart SEO Show, the podcast dedicated to empathy-driven, brand-building SEO. I'm your host, Crystal Waddell. I leverage my obsession with user experience to help business owners just like you optimize your website with confidence. Thank you so much for being here. Let's jump into another great episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast. I am here with a new friend that I have found on LinkedIn, and that is Christine McLean Lewis. She is going to talk to us today about how content and expertise work together. So, Christine, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal. I'm so excited. I love talking about content. So anybody who wants to invite me to speak about content, I'm always excited about. Looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. So our paths crossed right before the Brighton SEO conference in San Diego. Did you like the conference?
So this year I gave myself a challenge. I wanted to attend an industry conference just to have the experience of meeting people and getting more knowledge. And I decided that when someone at Brighton was having their event in the US for the first time, I was like, yes, I can leave Jamaica and go to that conference in San Diego. So I went. And to be honest, I think I was expecting that I would meet a lot of people and just gel with a lot of people and get a lot of great information. And for the most part, I would say that was accomplished like 98% of the way. I did meet some great people, and a lot of the talks were very insightful, and the talks also really a lot of what I already know about SEO and how I already feel about content, about creating that customer first content. So I really enjoyed those aspects of the conference, just meeting people and getting all of that knowledge into my brain. Yeah,
I agree with you on that reinforcement. My journey with SEO started because of my e-commerce store. And so it's not that I necessarily self-taught myself because I was watching resources that were created by other people, but I had to seek out that information and then assimilate it and make it work for me and then share it with other people. So there's always this little piece of me that was like, did I get that right? So I loved at the conference when I'm hearing these people talk. It was just such a great feeling to go and say, oh my gosh, I'm doing the right thing. And I left with so much more confidence. That was the thing I really took away. Now, speaking of your story, how did you get into SEO?
It's an interesting backstory. So you mentioned earlier that you were a teacher. I was a teacher as well, but I taught high school math. And in 2013, this was 1 year after I started working, I just realized that the teaching salary wasn't going to cut it. I needed to earn some more money. So I started looking for ways to earn money online. And I came across Upwork and I started to do content writing on Upwork. And from there, I started to develop my knowledge and confidence in SEO because I used to write a lot of articles for businesses. And then I decided that there was so much more to content writing or content overall than just the writing aspect. There's this whole world of content marketing where you can do so much more. You can actually help brands get value from the content that they create. So I transitioned into content marketing as a whole. And in 2020, that's when I really started to dive deeper into content strategy, into helping brands create multiple content assets that will transform their customers into loyal fans. So my journey started in 2013 with content writing, and then it evolved over the years into what I do now.
I love that you said content asset. Can you give us an example of what content assets are?
Sure, of course. All of us use the internet to search for solutions to the problems that we have. And when we search for those solutions, there are different ways we go about it. Some of us will go on Google and type in a search query, and it will give us some articles that we'd want to read. Or it might show us a few videos from YouTube that answer the question about a particular topic. Those are content assets. Those YouTube videos are content assets as well. There are some brands that may produce things called white papers that illustrate how their solution solves a particular problem. Those white papers are content assets too. Case studies are content assets. They're very important content assets in the B2B space, particularly because they give proof that what the brand is doing actually works for someone. So case studies are content assets. Even when you go on social media and you start looking for stuff. So when you go on Reddit and you see people responding to questions and sharing content that way, that can be looked at as a content asset too. On TikTok, when people are creating these videos, these short form videos, those are content assets too. There are so many ways to look at content assets. This podcast that you're doing, Crystal, is a content asset as well. Any type of content that you create to solve a specific problem or to answer particular questions for your customers, those are content assets. Many different types: videos, audio material, video material, anything within those realms.
Okay, so I have two follow-up questions, and I'll ask this one first. One of the big takeaways that I had from Brighton was about the idea of PR and link building, like public relations and link building. And then through my little journey of that, I dug down and found a term called linkable assets. And so I wondered, do you have any thoughts around creating linkable assets and where the best place is for a linkable asset?
That's an interesting question, because when you say a linkable asset, what you're really saying is that the asset that you have created, something that is so valuable, so filled with rich knowledge and insights that somebody would actually want to link to it. And that type of content is not the easiest type of content to create. So when you speak about linkable assets, what you're trying to do is basically combine your expertise and knowledge with what your target audience is looking for and presenting that in a way that actually resonates with them. That's how I would describe a linkable asset. And when you create those type of assets, as you said, with PR outreach, it's about trying to identify the brands that align with your message and reaching out to those brand owners, those marketers, those journalists. You can get that your content to be included in their own to create those links.
Yeah. You're talking and my mind starts racing. And I'm like, okay, how can I apply this to my business? And I talked about this with another guy about how one of the content pieces that I want to create for my website, Collage and Wood, where I make senior night gifts, is to do a big piece on what they call name, image, and likeness. It's called NIL in sports in the United States. And so as we were talking, I was like, you know what? I should do one where the top 5 NIL athletes for the girls and then for the boys. And then I can update that. It would be a perfect article to update every year, because it's like, okay, this year we've got 23, 24. Next year we're going to have 24, 25. And then I can compare them. And then I'll actually start having statistics that would be worth linking to.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that you mentioned statistics that are worth linking to, because one of the greatest linkable assets is original research. Like research reports and the things that you do to get data that people actually can use to make decisions. So that's another important linkable asset too.
Another thing I want to ask you, something I just read about yesterday. So sorry to throw you this curveball, but I saw that there was an announcement that Google was going to stop indexing video when video wasn't the prominent thing on the page. So let's say you have a blog and you've embedded video in that. Now, if the video is just, sometimes you get that error that's like view outside of the, or something outside of the viewport or something like that in Google search. If it falls into a situation like that and it's not like the content of the page. It's not the focus content of the page. And so I just wonder if you had any thoughts on that and how you thought that might impact search.
That's an interesting development, and it can be a concerning development, because then that means that when you're trying to, for instance, get more visibility for a video podcast that you've embedded into an article, it means that Google won't pick up that video. So what I would suggest is that we be more deliberate about including video content in our assets. So for instance, a long form video that you've created, like repurposing it into shorts so that you can embed those shorts into your content at specific areas, to be deliberate that way. And I guess in a sense, Google is also trying to ensure that the videos we include in our content are actually easy to digest for the reader. That's something that's long and winded and something that, people don't really want to engage with in that particular piece. So I think it's forcing us to be more creative with the video assets that we create and how we use them in our written content, to be more deliberate about that.
Oh, that's a great idea. So as you said that, I'm just thinking one client that I work with, part of each one of her blog articles is her YouTube video embedded, and then we add the transcript. But what I'm hearing you say is, because we know the chapters and the topic of the content, we could really separate that out and make it more specific to that thing, and also shorter, so easier to digest and all those things. So that's a great idea. Thank you for that.
Of course. It's something that I need to do too, because I'm guilty of embedding the video into the article and calling it a day. But to be more deliberate about making useful content for people, you want things to be easily digestible, easy to follow, easy to engage with. So it does make sense that repurposing the content in that way would create better indexing opportunities.
Essentially going back to our old content and saying, why is this helpful? And I guess that's what I'm thinking. That's the question we have to ask. Go back and as you're optimizing your old content, like, how can I make this better for the reader? How can I make it more digestible for whoever's watching it? Just really going back with the mindset of optimizing it for that person on the other side of the screen. It's going to be both a challenge and an opportunity to do that, but just having the right lens to look at the best way to optimize it. I think you just gave us a few gems right there. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I've talked a little bit about examples of like content diversity and when to use them. Is there anything else you would add in terms of like how that helps satisfy helpful content? Hey, Shopify store owners, especially if you're selling on Etsy too. Here's a quick question. Are people actually finding your products on Google? If SEO feels confusing, overwhelming, or like something you'll get to later, this is for you. I'm hosting a free 7-day Shopify SEO challenge that breaks it down into simple, doable steps. No tech headaches, no fluff. Join us at AISEOschool.com. That's school with a K, AISEOschool.com. 7 days, it's free, better traffic. Let's go. Hey, Shopify store owners, especially if you're selling on Etsy too. Here's a quick question. Are people actually finding your products on Google? If SEO feels confusing, overwhelming, or like something you'll get to later, this is for you. I'm hosting a free 7-day Shopify SEO challenge that breaks it down into simple, doable steps. No tech headaches, no fluff. Join us at AISEOschool.com. That's school with a K, AISEOschool.com. 7 days, it's free, better traffic. Let's go.
Content diversity, what you're doing is, I would say it's twofold. One, you're helping your audience to get the content that they need in the ways that please them, in the ways that they want to engage with content. And two, it helps you to reach people who have accessibility issues. So like people who can't really read the content that you have on the screen, although they can use screen readers and things like that. Maybe it will be better for them to listen to a podcast episode or to watch a video with the subtitles on it. Everything that you're doing in the content marketing space is about helping your customers and providing the best experience for your customers. So with content diversity and creating all of these multiple content assets, it's helping you to appeal to the needs of your customers and really help them to digest the content in the best possible way for them. And it's also helping you to create multiple touch points on your buyer's journey, especially in regards to B2B content. You need those multiple touch points. So somebody who watches a YouTube video, for example, that person isn't necessarily going to become a customer automatically, or they may watch a YouTube video and then later on they read a blog post and they listen to a podcast episode and they go down the funnel that way. So it's about creating those multiple touch points, creating assets that meet the diverse needs of your audience, whether they have accessibility issues or they just like to consume content in multiple ways.
Awesome. So where does social proof fit into all of this? Like, how do you gather it? And then where do you put it once you have it?
All right. So social proof can be acquired in multiple ways. In the B2B space, it's usually through a lot of testimonials, and case studies are very big in the B2B space. But I'd also add that we can create or encourage our customers to create user-generated content too. So the user-generated content actually displays a customer using the product or using the service that applies to helping them solve a particular problem within their business, right? So helping customers create that type of content is also a good way to have social proof. A good example of this is it's usually done in the B2C space. It's when you look at a company that produces recipes, for instance, and you have these cooks or these chefs who use these recipes and they showcase the product at the same time, that type of content, like thinking along those lines in the B2B space can help you to show how your product can actually be used to solve a problem.
I think we can unpack this just a little bit more. But my first question was, do you have any strategies or tactics for getting that user-generated content?
All right. So in my experience, it's very hard to get B2B customers in particular to even do a case study. It's very hard. But my biggest suggestion is to work with the customer experience team, because they're the main point of contact with the customer. So you work with the customer success team, explain what it is you're trying to achieve, and help them to create that connection with the customer. That would make them want to be a part of this user-generated content initiative. And also you can offer the customer maybe like a 10% discount or some type of incentive for participating in this particular initiative. That's another thing that you can do to sweeten the deal as well. But it can be really difficult to get them to participate, in all honesty. But working through the CX team and giving those incentives can be a good place to start. And when you work with the CX team tool, it shouldn't be a one-sided thing where you're just pulling from them. It should be open to helping the CX team with what they need as well. I wanted to throw that out there.
How do you make that more personal on the backside? Because I know a lot of companies will use third-party service providers, maybe even doing surveys. But sometimes as a customer, I receive a survey invite and I'm not sure how this person or this company received my information in the first place. I'm very hesitant to even click on that email because I don't know if it's spam. So it seems like there could be some improvements in that process.
And I agree with you. I understand where the companies are coming from with using these third-party sites to do the work, because it's a lot of work. And these third-party sites often, I don't know how they get the database, but they have the database of people that they can reach out to get the survey responses. But what I would suggest to B2B teams is to find a way internally to see if you can get that data yourself. So probably hire a data scientist or a freelance data scientist or a full-time data scientist if you can afford it, and work with that person to create the surveys and push them out to your existing customers, or collaborate with one of these companies to create a transparent process for your target audience for whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and it sounds too like that would be a perfect opportunity to create a linkable asset because you've got statistics coming in.
Exactly.
Okay, so my background in SEO, I've come in at multiple places, come in from the content side based on what I learned at SEMrush, And then I came in on the LLM, large language model side, based on what I learned in Jasper and with Surfer. One thing I never quite understood, and I think maybe it'd be good to differentiate, is the difference between a content writer and a content marketer. Is there a difference? And could you break that down for us?
Sure. There is a big difference between the two. So a content writer, as the name suggests, is a person who writes content. So that person will write blog posts. That person will write your white papers, your case studies, any of those text-heavy content assets that you need to create. That's what the content writer would do. But a content marketer does more than just writing. A content marketer sees the big picture and is able to develop a content strategy that includes all of the assets that would be relevant to your brand. We spoke about content assets earlier. So whether you're creating blog posts or videos or podcast episodes or short form video content, whatever it is, that content marketer align the content strategy to your goals and create the content assets that are relevant for that strategy. So that's what a content marketer does.
Okay. And as I've learned more from different types of marketers, I've realized that there is a slight disconnect in what people expect from the companies that they hire and then the experience. For instance, let's just say video marketing. It's like that company is going to have to probably be involved in creating some of that content. And a lot of business owners that I've spoken with, it seems like they have this expectation that, okay, if I hire someone to create XYZ content, then I'm handing it off to them and they're going to take care of it. You know what I mean? Have you experienced that, or do you have any insight on that phenomenon?
So if a common experience, and it's not an unrealistic expectation, because you feel like if you hire somebody to do a particular thing, then you just hire the person to do that thing. So they should just do it. But especially in the content space where expertise is so crucial, it can't be a case where you just hand off your content to an agency or to someone to create everything for you, because your expertise and your team's expertise is so crucial to making that content actually work. So content strategy development, content creation, and content analysis, that has to be a collaborative effort. And it's so important, even if you're a small business owner, to be involved in the process, to work with your content marketer to create the content so that you can ensure that the expertise and the knowledge that you have is being translated into that content in the way that it should be.
Awesome. So can you take us a little bit deeper into your content marketing process and give us just a little bit of a sneak peek into how you pull all these pieces together?
Yeah, of course. So my content marketing process is what I like to call a customer first content marketing process. And what this means is that I start by doing customer research, and customer research can be done in multiple ways. I use customer interviews, listen to sales calls, I attend sales calls, I read reviews, and put all of that information together to identify common themes amongst the brand's customers. And then those common themes or common problems, if you want to call it that, help me to identify what content matters to that brand's audience. Because it's not about the problems that matter to everybody else in the industry or in the space, but it's what problems matter to your customers and what solutions are they looking for. So once I've done that research, I then link that to keyword analysis. So these are the problems that these customers face, yes, but what are the common search terms related to those problems and to those topics? Then I will use that information to identify what content should be created to address those problems, and also how that content aligns with business goals. What the business goals are for the next 6 to 12 months. So with identifying all of that and putting the pieces together, I've realized through my experience that it's so important to not only create the content for the unaware and the problem aware type of people who are at the top of the funnel, but to start by creating the content for those high intent customers, those people who are in the market to buy, ready to buy, and want to find a solution. So I start with what we would call the bottom of the funnel and the middle of the funnel content. I don't like calling it that because the customer journey isn't really a funnel, but yeah, for ease of reference. So the bottom of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, I start with those content pieces as best as possible. So the case studies, super important. Start with the case studies, start with any product-led content as best as I possibly can. So once I've identified the bottom of the funnel and middle of the funnel content to create, and I created that, start working on the top of funnel, I start to also look at how this content is working over the first 3 months of working with a client. How is this content working? Is it actually producing anything? Is it helping the sales team reach their goals? Am I creating enough content that supports the sales team? What do I need to adjust? What needs to change so that the content can actually yield the results that we're looking for? And that's basically the gist of the process. But the big part of it is doing that customer research and then creating those high intent content pieces to make a difference for the organization.
So how long after implementation do you do the reflection piece?
3 months after. I know that 3 months isn't a really long time, especially if it's a new brand, because 3 months SEO, especially, although everything isn't related to SEO, but SEO in particular can take longer than 3 months for you to see results. But I use the 3 months mark because it's important to see how people are responding to your content, especially if you're repurposing the content on social media. That can be a good indication of how people are responding to the content. And if you're sharing content with your sales team for them to use, are they able to use it? And what outcomes are they able to get from it? So it's important to start that analysis at the 3 months mark and make your adjustments.
I'm curious, how is this presented back to the brand then? Is it like a handoff for them to implement, or do you stay on in a consulting role? Where would you fit in that handoff?
I like to stay with brands for at least 18 months. So even at that 3 month mark, when I do my analysis and I present my findings, it's not a case where I'm just handing it over to them and saying, okay, these are my recommendations. You guys do it now and move on. I actually stay with them and continue to tweak and adjust as needed over the next couple of months. So yeah, that's how I work. For you to really see the impact of content, you need that time. At least 18 months is a good stretch of time to start seeing the impact of content.
Awesome. And then you mentioned that the customer journey doesn't fit that stereotypical funnel. So can you give us a visual of how you see the customer journey?
So Ashley Foss, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's from Atlassian. She describes it very well. She calls it a content playground. I don't know if you've ever seen children at a playground. The children aren't all going to go to the slide, and then they go to the monkey bars, and then they go to they don't follow a particular process. They just go to whichever one tickles their fancy. Some of them might climb up the slide instead of sliding down. They just do whatever they want to do in the playground. It's a similar concept with content. People don't follow the path that you intend for your content. They experience different content pieces at different times. That's why you have multiple touch points. And it may take one person 6 different touch points to reach a purchase decision. For others, it may take 10 touch points, 12 touch points. But they don't go from a YouTube video to a blog post to purchase, those type of things. No, they go all around, experience content in so many different ways before they actually make a decision. Yeah.
I love that content playground. That is the perfect analogy. Inside of Shopify, they do a good job of being able to say where the person came from. As long as they can track it, they'll usually give last click attribution to however the person purchased. And this has happened more than once, but let's just call this persona like the same person. They'll come through and it will take them 21 days or more and multiple visits before they purchase. And so there's some people who come in and it's one day, they found me on Google, click, buy, boom, we're done. And then it always cracks me up when I get that person that's like, triple checking, it's like, yep. I think that's so funny because the customer journeys are so different.
Yeah, it's very different. I like that analogy of the B2C space because, as you said, so there are some people who will click and they will buy right away, but then there's some who will take 21 different touch points to reach where you want to go. So it's something.
Yeah. And one of those people I spoke to a couple years ago, and she lived in Australia, and she found interest. Then she found my website, but then she messaged me on Facebook, which I hardly ever message people on Facebook. But it was a crazy thing. Talk about a playground. We were bouncing from,
all different platforms.
She even said, she's like, do you want me to buy at the slide or do you want me to buy over here at the swings? And so I was like, I don't care. Just make your purchase. Ideally, my website. But yeah, so it is funny how those interactions, if you make them available, some people will really utilize all of them.
That is so true.
I will never drive by and see it like the same again. That's for sure. Okay. I guess the final question for our friends on the other side of the headphones here, primarily solopreneurs or small business owners, even startups or e-commerce sellers are listening right now. What do you think is the number one most impactful thing that they could do for their business as it relates to their website or content development? If you had to pick one that was going to be like your best tip or do this, what would you say?
Don't follow the crowd. See your expertise and showcase that expertise. That's what I would say. Don't follow the crowd.
I have to follow up with that. Why do you say don't follow the crowd?
Content online it's like you're swimming in a sea of sameness. Everybody is saying the same thing. They're just rewriting it in different ways or purposing it in different ways. But when you create content that showcases your brand as an expert, as an authority, that gives real life examples, real life experiences, that helps people to really connect with what your brand stands for, that's what helps you stand out. And that's what helps you attract your ideal customer.
Wow. That is fantastic. Okay. So if your client is listening right now, can you help them identify themselves, like the best fit for working with you, and then share how they can get in contact with you?
Sure. I work with B2B software as a service companies and marketing companies to help them create fans and turn them into loyal customers. And I do this through content marketing, as I mentioned earlier. So you can reach me on my website, cemwritingservices.com. Or you can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, Christine McLean Lewis. Or you can send me an email at christine@cemwritingservices.com.
Awesome. Christine, thank you so much for being here. This was a treat.
This was a treat. It was great seeing you and meeting you.
You think you'll go back to Brighton next year?
I will be there.
Okay, I'll think about my ticket too. So we will definitely get together this time.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
All right. We'll see you next time, guys. Have a great day.
Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Hey, Shopify store owners, especially if you're selling on Etsy too. Here's a quick question. Are people actually finding your products on Google? If SEO feels confusing, overwhelming, or like something you'll get to later, this is for you. I'm hosting a free 7-day Shopify SEO challenge that breaks it down into simple, doable steps. No tech headaches, no fluff. Join us at AISEOschool.com. That's school with a K, AISEOschool.com. 7 days, it's free, better traffic. Let's go. Hey, Shopify store owners, especially if you're selling on Etsy too. Here's a quick question. Are people actually finding your products on Google? If SEO feels confusing, overwhelming, or like something you'll get to later, this is for you. I'm hosting a free 7-day Shopify SEO challenge that breaks it down into simple, doable steps. No tech headaches, no fluff. Join us at AISEOschool.com. That's school with a K, AISEOschool.com. 7 days, it's free, better traffic. Let's go.